Hello everyone. Today we are going to see how we can save data from our Android app in SQLite DB. So this is how I want to run my app. This is a sample app which I have made. Suppose if I'm entering the data over here, ABC, some email ID, say abc@gmail.com, password. I am selecting the gender. I want to receive the newsletters and I'm clicking on save. So if I click on save over here and try to update my table, so I should be able to get the data over here in database. Similarly, if I try to update more values, here I'll just change the email ID, change and save. If I try to again change over here, so if you can see over here, my data will be saved over here in the database. If I try to update some value, so I'm trying to modify, previously I had entered and deleted some value, so the IDs over here is 5 and 6 since it's auto-generated. Now suppose if I want to delete the value at ID number 6, so I'm writing over here ID number 6, I want to update the value, say. So I'm writing over here ID number 6 and then I am changing the name. So from DEF, I wanted something like element and I click on update over here. So I've got the message saying data is updated successfully. If I try to refresh the table, this is the new value that I will be getting over here at ID 6. Similarly, if I want to delete some value, so if I want to delete the record at 6, or first we'll just view the data. So I'm clicking over here on view all. Then whatever is the data that I'll be able to see over here in this pop-up. Post that if I want to clear everything, the data will be cleared. If I want to delete something that is there at ID number 6 right now and I click on delete, then I have got the message user deleted successfully. If I try to refresh, then away the user is deleted. So this is a functionality that we are going to try to work on today and see how it works. So let us go ahead and design this. So I've created this new project over here, and in this what I have done is, just to save the time, since more thing that I want to concentrate right now, that is the SQLite DB, I have already designed the XML over here and I have kept. So if you can see over here, this is edit text, that is enter user ID. Then so whatever is the user ID that you want to update or delete, that should be coming over here. When you're entering the data for the first time, that time you just need to enter the name, email ID and password, which again is the edit text. For password, I have given over here the input type as password. So if you can see over here, yeah. So this edit text password, just the input type I have given password, so that whenever some user is entering any kind of password over here, it's not visible to anyone. Instead, what we see over here is something like ... or some asterisk value. Then these two radio buttons, they are inside the radio group over here. The orientation I have kept it as horizontal so that they come besides one another. Then receive newsletter, this is a checkbox value. Then all these buttons, so these three buttons are there inside, that is save, update and clear, that is inside one linear layout. View and delete, that is inside another linear layout whose orientation is horizontal, so that they can just be besides one another. So our XML file is working in this way. Now let us start working on the actual database code. So SQLite 3DB, that comes integrated with your Android Studio. You don't have to install anything separately. Also, whatever the data I'm saving right now, that is getting saved in the internal memory. Hence, I don't have to give any kind of permissions in my manifest file as well. So here the first thing that I'm going to do is, I'm going to go in my Java folder, right click over here, and I'm going to create a new database helper class. So I'm going to call this as database helper. So this is my database helper class. Now we'll start writing over here the things. So first of all, I'm going to extend it. Extends what? So this is going to extend SQLite Open Helper. Once you're going to extend it using the SQLite Open Helper, you're going to get an error over here. Now why this is? So that is because there are certain methods which you have to implement, the abstract methods. So I'm implementing these methods over here. There are two methods, that is on create and on upgrade, which you have to import. So I'm importing both of them. Still the error which is coming is because for this we will have to create a constructor. So we'll also create a matching constructor over here. So this is done. So we have created a constructor, and we have, as well as we have created on create and on upgrade. For this constructor, what we'll do is we'll just give the context over here. Now what will come over here, I'll just tell you. First of all, we'll have to declare few variables over here. So I'll go inside over here in my open helper class. The first thing that I need to give is a database name. That's why this error is coming. We'll just pass this database name over here. So I'm declaring my database name variable, private static final string private static final string, and what I want to give over here, that is a database name, and the name that we are going to give to this database, that is going to be users.db. users.db. I'll copy this again. Once we have given the database name, the next thing that we have to give is the table name. So the next thing that I'm giving over here, that is a table name. The table name I'm going to give it as users. Now, whatever are the columns, we need to give all the column names as well. So what are the different columns that we have over here? We have user ID, then we have name, email ID, password, gender, whether I want to receive the newsletters. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 columns which I have. So I'm going to give name for all of them. So this is my name over here, column 1, that is equal to ID. Then column 2. So what is the column 2 that we have over here? That is name. So I'm going to give this as name. Column 3, that is email. Column 4, password. Column 5, that is gender. And then we have one more column. What was our last column? That was the newsletters, whether I want to receive the newsletters or no. So I'm having my column 6. Newsletter. Yeah, so we are done with this. Now over here, what we are going to pass, instead of name, we are going to pass, we already have a database name which we have given. So we are going to pass that, that is a database name. Then the factory. So the factory variable, I am keeping it as null over here. Then we have the version. So the version that I'm giving over here, that is 1. Okay. So this is how we can declare our basic constructor over here. So yeah, so we are done with this. So basically, what this factory null means that right now there are no columns inside over here, like no values which have been inserted over here, or basically it means that there is no custom cursor value that I want over here for this. Now I go for the onCreate method. So inside onCreate, what I'm going to write is basically how we write our SQL query. That is create table, table name, and what are the different column names. How we write it in SQL, that's how we are going to write it over here as well. So what is the name of the DB that we have given it? So this is my variable DB. So I'm going to write DB dot execute SQL. And whatever my SQL string is there, that's going to come over here. So again, I'm going to write over here create table. We already have the table name which we have saved. So create table, table name plus inside this, inside the brackets, we are going to write our entire all the column names over here. So what are my different column names? The first one is ID. So the ID data type, that is going to be integer over here. Also this ID is going to act as my primary key, and I want it to be auto incremented. So whenever a new entry is coming, it needs to be auto incremented. Sorry, I think I missed this. So this has to be over here. 1 minute. I'll just, yeah. Okay. So ID, then the next value what we have is, so after ID, what we have name over here. So name, what should be the data type of name? So it will be text value. Then we have email ID. So email, again, it's a text value. Then we have password. Which is again a text value. Then we have gender. Gender is also a text value. And then we have newsletters where we are saying yes or no. So you can take it either as a Boolean value or simply how I'm taking it as a text value right now. So we have written all the values over here. I don't think I've missed anything. Create table, table name. The error over here for this table, so there needs to be a space between table and table. Then we have table name plus ID, teacher, yeah, name, email, password, gender, and newsletter. Yeah, we have taken all of them. So in onCreate, we are going to write this query. Next, we come to onUpgrade. Now on upgrade, what I want is that in case if this table is existing, then drop the table if it exists, give the table name, and then call this onCreate method, so that what will happen that the previous table will be dropped and whatever is the table that we are creating, that will be created basically over here. So I'm coming over here. How do we write this? So this will be in this way. db dot execute SQL, drop table if exists, and plus you need to give what is the table name. So we are getting the table name from the variable that we have created, a space between this. Okay, and instead what you do, drop the existing table and then call the onCreate method. Inside this, what we'll have to pass the DB. So we are done with our onCreate and onUpgrade method. Now we go for our important methods. So what that will be, our basic operations, that is create, update, read, and delete. So sorry, create is done. Now we go for insert, update, delete, and view. So insert data. After that, update data. Then we have read data, and then finally view data. So now for insertion of data, I'll be creating a method. I'm creating a method public boolean insert data. Inside this, what is the data that I want to insert? So first of all, string name. Now why I'm not considering ID over here, because ID is going to be auto incremented, so I don't have to insert it. Whatever is the data for that, I am going to get an ID which is going to be assigned. That's a unique ID. String name, then string password, comma string gender, comma string newsletter. Okay. Oh, I just wrote it double times. String email. Then over here, what is the first thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to create an object of SQLite database, and we have to give a mode. So the mode that I'm using over here, that is .get writable database. So there are two modes which are available, that is read .get readable database and writable database. Now if I go for read database, it will only give me an access to view the data. But when I'm using writable database, it gives me the access to read the data as well as write the data, which fulfills our purpose over here. So I'll be going for writable data. So SQLite database db is equal to this dot get writable database. Okay. Then I need to create an object of content values. Basically, what are going to be a content values? So the values which I'm going to enter for all the columns over here. So content values is equal to new content values. Yeah. So how do I insert the data in this way? Content values dot put. I need a key value pair. So the key value pair that I have over here. So what are the keys that I'm going to use? This thing, the column names which we have declared over here. So first of all, I want to insert the data in my column 2. Why column 2? Because for column 1, it's going to be an auto incremented data. So I don't have to enter anything. What will be entered in the column 2? Name. So whatever I'm going to get as input parameter as name, that will be inserted in column 2. Similarly, I need to do this thing for all the values. So I'm going for content values dot put. Now for the next thing, that is column 3. What should be there in column 3? So it should be the email. Then column 4. So column 4. Column 4, enter the password. Dot put. Column 5, enter the gender. Column 6, enter whether I have subscribed to the newsletter or no. So these are all our content values. Now what I want to do is I want to insert them in my DB. How do I do that? So it will be in this way: long result is equal to db dot insert. Then what is my table name? Column hack is null. What do I mean by column hack? So that means that even if someone is entering a blank column, still my app shouldn't crash. That is what is the meaning of column hack. So I'm just giving the value as null over here. Content values. So what are the values that I want to put? Basically all these values from column 2 to column 6. So that's what I've passed. Then I return back the result. So how am I returning back? So basically what this means is return result not equal to -1. That means if I'm getting a non-zero value or basically a non-negative value, that means a value has been inserted successfully in my database. So then I'll be getting a message that the value has been inserted successfully. Then now if I want to update the data, the rest of the things are going to remain the same. What is going to change? Just my update query is going to change. So here I'm copying the entire thing, whatever we have written over here for insert data. I'm pasting that in my update data. I'm changing the method name. So I am making this as, I'm changing this to Boolean update data. Okay. Now what will be coming in update data? Even my user ID will be coming. So that will be an extra field that I have over here. So string user ID, or I'll just call it UID, comma. This remains the same. Yeah, all these things remain the same. ID I will already be putting over here in my XML. So like when I'm going to run my app, so that is not needed to be put over here in the content values. Yeah, my this query and the return value will change. So what do I write over here is int result is equal to db.update. So what should I update? First of all, what is required is the table name. I have the table name over here. Then I require the content values. We have the content values with us. The next thing it requires is a where clause. So what does it require? Where clause and where arguments. How do we write the where clause over here? So it's written in this way, where ID is equal to something. So whatever is the ID, user is going to enter. And then the arguments. So the arguments, we pass it over here in this way. So string array and whatever is the ID the user has provided. Post that we return. So we return if the result is greater than 0. That means if more than one column has been modified, if more than 0 column has been modified, that means if some column has been modified, then return the result as true, that the column has been updated. Then, not read, we have it for delete data and view data. So now how do I create it for delete data? So it will be in this way, public integer delete data string ID. Okay, so in delete now, again I'll be opening my SQL, I'll be creating object of SQLite database. So if I'm deleting something, again something is getting modified in my database, right? So I'm opening it for writable database. Then return db.delete. What does it require? Again, it requires a table name. So we have the table name over here in our variable, comma. It requires a where clause again. So what is a where clause that we have? We have already written over here in update value. So I'm just copying the same one. Where clause and the where arguments. So I'm copying this and I'm pasting it over here. So these are our where clause and where arguments. Then what we have is view the data. So for view data, I'm creating a method, public cursor. So what is your cursor? That's going to give you data type. That's going to give you whatever is your row and column data in your database. Is going to return back that data. So get all data. SQLite database db is equal to this dot get writable database. Now what does it return back? So basically, if I want to view everything, what do I say? Select star from the table name. That's our query. So that's what we are going to write over here. db dot, we have something called as raw query over here. So db dot raw query. And then here I'm going to write my query as I write it in SQL. So select asterisk, that is select all the data, select asterisk from. And then after this, what I'll have? So I'll have the table name over here. You already have the table name that is saved. So I'm writing over here the table name, comma. What is the next argument that we require? The selection argument. So I don't have any selection arguments over here. I just want to view all the data over here. So null. That's it. So this is our database helper class. What we have done is we have given the names of all the columns that is required. We have created a constructor. We have our onCreate method, onUpgrade method. We have method for insert data, update data, delete, and get all the data. That's view all the data. Now we will go to our main activity. So in main activity, what we are going to do is we are going to link everything. So we already have this buttons which have been made, right? So now what I want is on click of save button, when someone clicks the save button, then what should be called? The insert method from the database helper class should be called. Update, the update method from the database helper should be called. For clear, I'll just create a method where I'm just clearing all the forms, so that I'll write over here in the main activity. Then whenever I'm clicking over here on view all, that time what should be called? So this get all data method should be called. And finally, if I click on delete button, then what should be called? This delete data should be called. Okay. So now we'll write the code for this. So I'll go over here. So first thing is I'll have to declare whatever are the components in my XML file. So what are the different components? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 edit text which are there. So let us write the code for that. So I have 4 edit text which are there. So I'm selecting edit text over here. So for all this edit text, let us give them some name. Edit text name. Then we have edit text for password. Then we have edit text for email. And we also have edit text for user ID. So we have these 4 edit text with us. What do we have next? So we have this radio group over here. So I'll declare a radio group, private radio group, and I'll call this as radio group gender. Then what is the next thing that we have? So we have this checkbox over here. So I'll name this as private checkbox newsletter. It's always better to give the clear name, so that try avoid to give the names like edit text 1, edit text 2, button 1, button 2. It gets very confusing. So always have very clear IDs and the names which you are giving to their variables, so that it avoids any kind of further errors. Then private button, So what are the different buttons that we have now? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 buttons, that is save, update, clear, view and delete. So I'll name all of them. So I have button save, then button update, I have button delete, then I have button clear, and then I have button view. So now we have declared all the components that we have over here in our XML file. We are all good to go ahead now. Okay, once we are done with this, what is the next thing that we do? So we initialize all our UI components. So I'm going to initialize all my UI components over here. What are the different UI components that we have? So we'll go as per the series. What is the first one that we have? The user ID. So user ID is equal to find view by ID r.id dot edit text user ID. Then what is the next thing that we have? We have the edit text name. So is equal to find view by ID r.id dot. We have edit text name. Then the next one that we have is the password. Is equal to find view by ID r.id dot edit text password. Then the next one that we have, that is edit text email. That is equal to find view by ID r.id dot edit text email. So we have declared all of them. It was never accessed. Right. Okay. Then what do we have? We have the radio group. So radio group gender is equal to find view by ID r dot id dot, what is the name that we have given, we'll just see. So for radio group, the name we have given, that is a radio group gender only. So radio group gender. Then we have the checkbox. So checkbox newsletter is equal to find view by ID r dot id dot checkbox newsletter. Then we have button. So we'll give for all the buttons, for button save, find view by ID r dot id dot button save. Then we have button update r dot id dot button update. Then we have button clear. Then we have view. And then finally we have button delete. Okay, so we have initialized all our UI components over here. One more thing that we are going to initialize over here now, that is, sorry, declare one more thing over here, that is a database helper. So database helper DB, we are going to declare that. So we are done with this. Now the next thing is we'll initialize a database helper as well. So initialize database helper. How do we initialize it in this way? So say what is the value that we have given, DB. DB is equal to new database helper. Now why the error? Because here we have created a constructor. What does this constructor require over here? So it requires a context as input parameter. So we need to give a context. What would be the context over here? You can just give us get application context. That's it. So we have initialized this. Now we go for on click of all the buttons, what should happen? So we have all the 5 buttons. On click of something, something should happen, right? So for that, we'll create different methods and keep. So just let us create some blank methods and keep over here. And then we'll call those methods on click of those buttons. So I'll just say private void save user data. I'll just create blank methods and then we'll see how it is working. So save user data, update user data. Then we have delete user data. Then we have clear user data. And then we have view user data. Okay. So we have this 5 methods on click of the buttons, we'll call them. So what are the different buttons that we have? We have this button save dot set on click listener. Set on click listener, new space, view dot on click listener. We are calling this method. Inside this, what we are going to call? We are just going to call this method save user data. Similarly, we'll create the on click listeners for all the buttons. So then we have the button update dot set on click listener space view dot on click listener. In this, what we are going to call is the update user data. Then button delete dot set on click listener new space view dot on click listener. Inside this, what we'll call is the delete user data. Then button clear dot set on click listener new space. So inside this, what we are going to call now is clear user data method. And then we have for view, so button view dot set on click listener new space view on click listener. Inside this, what we are going to call is the view method. So we are all good to go. Now inside save, what is the first thing that I'll have to do? Whatever is the data user is entering inside all this edit text. For user ID, I don't have to consider, it will be auto incremented. I have to like extract the data from the edit text of name, email ID, password, whatever is the gender data and the checkbox data. Using the dot get text method, I'll extract it and then convert it to dot string using the dot to string method and that inserted in my database. That's what I have to do. So over here, what we'll do is, first of all, string name is equal to edit text name dot get text dot to string, convert it to string. Then we have the email ID. So string email is equal to edit text email dot get text dot to string. Then we have string password is equal to edit text password dot get text dot to string. Then we have the gender. So in gender, what it will, okay. Now for gender, how do I extract the gender? So it will be in this way. First of all, let's do find view by ID. Inside this, let us try to access our radio, like from the radio group, we'll try to get what is a checked radio button. So it will be done in this way, radio group dot get checked radio button ID. So whatever is this ID, what we'll do is now we'll have to typecast it. So we'll have to typecast it to what? So we'll have to typecast it to radio button. So typecasting it to radio button first of all. Now whatever is this ID that I have got, so I have typecasted to radio button, right? So the entire thing I have to extract the text from this. So dot get text dot to string. This is how I can extract the value from the radio button. So basically what it is saying is, whatever is the radio group that we have assigned, we have two radio button values over there. From there, whatever is the checked radio button, I'm selecting the checked radio button ID over here, converting it to dot text, like from the text I'm getting its text value, and then I'm converting it to string over here. So that's how we'll set the value in gender. Then I'm going for string newsletter. So string newsletter is equal to whatever is the value in the checkbox newsletter dot whatever is the whether it is it checked or no. So whether it is yes or no. So is checked. So is it checked? Is checked. And over here I'm checking whether yes or no. So whether is it checked or no. So how do I get the value? Using the ternary operator, I can do that in a line. So I'm saying yes or no. So here, this is how I can extract all the values which are entered over here in my XML when my code is running. Then I need to insert the value in the database. So how we can do it is using in this way. So we have created, so we have over here, what we have done is, we have initialized our, declared our database helper and we have initialized it over here. So I can access it over here using db dot insert data. So what is this insert data method? The one which we have created over here in our database helper class. So now I'm trying to access this particular method here. What are the input parameters are required? Name, email, password, gender, newsletter. So db dot insert data. Then insert data. So these are the parameters that we have given. So I'm just going to pass the parameters now. I already have the parameters over here. So whatever the user is going to enter in the edit text name, then we have email, then we have the password, then we have the gender that is getting inserted, then we have the newsletter. Then I'm going to I'm going to check whether the data has been inserted. So here this method is just going to insert the data, but I need to also give the user a message saying, right, a toast saying that whether the data has been inserted successfully or no, or the user will just keep on clicking on the save button, but if he's not able to see any kind of output, then it will be difficult to understand whether the data was inserted or no. So I'm going to create a variable over here, say the boolean, saying boolean is inserted is equal to db.insertData. So this variable is just going to return me yes or no value. So I'm checking over here if it's inserted, if it is true or no. If it is true, then give a toast message saying the data has been inserted successfully, else give a toast saying the data wasn't inserted successfully. So I'm giving a toast message over here, toast dot make text, context will be my get application context, comma, data entered successfully, comma, in duration, so toast dot length long, and then show the toast. So I'm just copying this over here in else, and I'm saying error in inserting data. Error. I'll just say error. Okay. Okay. Then we'll go for the next method, that is update user data. So in update user data, again, we need to extract all the values how we have done it over here. Just we have to extract one more value. So over here, what I want is whenever user wants to update the data, the first thing that user will have to do is user will have to enter the user ID over here. So whatever is the user ID, the data will be updated for that. Also, whatever is a modified data, that will be accessed. So if I'm entering, if I'm entering one over here, then whatever is a modified data for user ID 1, I'll have to enter that as well. And then when I click on update, the data will be updated in the database. So first of all, what I'll have to do is I'll have to create one more string value over here. So I'm going to call this as string user ID. How do I extract the data? So edit text user ID dot get text dot to string. Then rest of the things I'll copy as it is. Okay. So I'll be able to extract all the fields. Post this, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating boolean is updated. So I'll just let us first insert the data. So I'll show you that db dot update data. So now what is this calling? This is calling the method over here, this update data method. So updated data, what should be there? User ID, comma, all the values that we had inserted previously. So all these values, I'll just copy paste them. Okay. Again, this value which is there, I'm going to store it in a boolean variable to check. So this will again be like this, boolean is updated. And then I'll give a toast message to the user saying whether the data was updated or no. So I'll copy this. And we'll check over here if is updated, it was successful or no. If updated, then I'll just say data modified successfully, else error was faced. Then we will go over here for clear user data. For clear user data, simply what I have to do, whatever are the fields that I have, I just have to clear them or make them null. So I have over here edit text name. So edit text name dot set text, I'll just make it as a null value this way. Then we have edit text email ID dot set text. Again, this will be a null value. Then we have edit text password dot set text. It will be a null value. Then we have DDO group gender dot clear check. So it will clear whatever is a checked value. Then we have the checkbox newsletter dot set checked. Set check, we'll make this as false. One more is remaining, that is edit text user ID. User ID dot set text is equal to null. So whatever are the values, it will be cleared over here when the user is calling the clear button. Then we go for the next one, that is delete user data and view user data. How do we call it as in this way? So first of all, if I want to delete the user data, I have to take again this user ID, right? So basically, which is the value that the user wants to delete? So that I can get it from the user ID. So user will be entering, I want to delete the data for first user, second user. So whatever is the number. Then I'll be calling from here. So tb dot this delete data method. What does it require? It requires the ID. So we are providing the user ID over here. Then we are checking that how many rows have been deleted. So I am writing that over here. It will be written in this way: integer deleted rows is equal to db.integer. And then I'm going to give a message that if my deleted rows is greater than 0, okay, I'll just copy this. Okay. So if my deleted rows is greater than 0, then I give the message that user is deleted successfully. Else I give the message that there was some error that was caused. Okay. So this is for deleting the user. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create one more method over here. If you saw this thing, what we were previously running over here, this code, which I had run and I had shown you. So here, whenever I'm clicking on view user data, whatever are the users which are entered over here in the database, it was coming in an alert dialog as a view message. If we see over here, so I have some values over here, right? So if I'm clicking over here on view data in this example, I was getting over here everything in this alert dialog. So how do we create this part? So for that, what we'll do is, I'll just stop this. So we'll go back to our code. Okay. So before we write this view user data function, we are going to write one more, that is show data. So private void show data. So inside this, what does it require over here? We are going to take two inputs. We are going to take it as string title and string message. Then we are going to create an alert dialog over here. So alert dialog dot builder is equal to new alert dialog dot builder. And inside this, what does it require? It requires a context. I'm just giving it as this right now. Then for our alert dialog, we'll just set our properties. So builder.set cancelable, I want it to be true. If someone is clicking outside, they should be able to cancel if I'm clicking on the white space. Then I want it to have a title. So I'm setting a title over here. So the title is title, which I'll be passing. So whatever the title would be coming from here. Then we have the message, builder.set message. Again, the message also, whatever is coming as the input parameter, we would be passing that. And then finally builder.show. We are not having any buttons over here. Okay. So these things are there. Okay. Now we'll go for a view method. So how do we go for a view method? It will be in this way. So cursor res is equal to db dot. Now which method do we call? We call the get all data method. So this method, that is this view, for basically select asterisk from the table name. So we call this get all method. What is its data type? Cursor. So we are creating over here this cursor data type, get all data. Then I'm giving over here if result dot get count is equal to 0, then call the show data method. So we have the method which we have created, show data, and the title which I'm going to give over here is error, and I'll just say over here no data found. What is the meaning of this is that if I'm calling this method, okay, and I don't have any values. So basically if my database is null, I don't have any values which are entered in my database, then the alert dialog is going to show the message saying error and there is no records basically. If that is not the case, then I'm going to go for a string builder. So I'm going for string builder and then variable builder is equal to new string builder. I'll create the object for this. And if that is not the case, then what I'll have to do is I'll have to traverse through the entire table and whatever are the values which are there, I just want to go on appending that. Okay, and then show all the data. So while res dot move to next. So this all comes under the cursor class, move to the next. So basically it's moving to the next entry in the database, move to the next value. So over here builder.append. What do I want to append over here? First of all, I want to append the ID. Again dot append. What I want to append over here? So result dot get string. Inside this, I have to give what is a column index. What is a first column index for ID? For ID, the column index is 0. Again dot outside this dot append. Then what I want is a new line. So basically whatever is a record that goes in the new line. So if you see over here also the example which we were running, just run this again. The example which we were running, when I click on view data, if you can see after ID there is a new line, then the name is going on the next line, email is going on the next line. So how are we getting it? So here that is a code that we have written. So if you see over here, if you see over here, that's the code that we are writing over here, that buffer.append ID. Okay, so first of all write the ID, then whatever is the index. So what is the index value? 0. So what should be the index? So whatever is the user ID, if that is 5, 6, whatever it is, that should come over here. Then append new line. So basically it will go on the new line. Then the next value, that is name, it will come over here on the next line. That's how we are creating that over here. Now the same thing I'll copy for the rest of the things as well. So I want to append all these things. copy this variable name correctly over here. So I'm copying this variable name over here correctly. Okay. And then once I'm done with this, then we have to show it in the show all the data in the alert dialog that we have created. So show data in alert dialog. How do we do that? So we'll call this method show data. What does it require? Again, string title and the message. So what is the title that we have? The title that we have, that is user data. And what is the message that we have? That is builder.toString. So that's it. We are done with all our code. Now we can just run this and see if it's working properly. So first of all, I'll try to enter some name abc @gmail.com. I'll give some password 123. I have not encrypted it over here. For encryption, you can see my other video of file handling. In that, I have discussed how you can encrypt the password at your backend side also using the SHA-256 encryption and then save it. So you can go for that. But right now, I'm not including that over here. Receive, and then I'm clicking on save. So I got the message as data entered successfully. Now, if I want to see it in database, how do I go over here? So you go over here in view, tool windows. Then you can go over here in something called as app inspection. Your API level should be greater than 26 when you're creating the app, only then it will be visible. Here I see the users table. So yeah, my data is entered properly. If I want to add another set of data, then I'm going over here def. I'll change this value to say def@gmail.com. Change the value over here. I don't want to receive the newsletters, and I'll say save. And then if I refresh, if you can see, I get the another value over here. We'll check for update as well. I want to update ID2 from def. I want to change it to element, the name. And I click on update. I got the message as data modified successfully. And then see, the new value has come over here. Similarly, if I want to delete the data, I'll just clear everything first. So everything is cleared. I want to delete the data at 2. So I'm clicking on delete. Refresh the table over here. So the value is deleted. If I'm clicking on view all the data, then I'm able to view the data as well. So that's it for the database helper. So this is how you implement SQLite DB in the Android app. Thank you so much. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to my channel, Devisden. Thank you so much.